tell me, for somebody that's looking to maybe do the same and wants to be recognised and, you know, thinks actually this, because a lot of people are doing them podcasts, how do you go about it, setting up a podcast?
Well, the mechanics of it, I'll give you the very short version because I could easily spend an hour and I know you don't want that. First thing I would recommend is buy a decent microphone because your sound quality, at least at your end, if not at the other end, has to be good. I record over Zoom. It's recorded in exactly the same that we're doing this now. The difference is that mine is an audio file, so I just delete the video afterwards.
Okay.
I then use some free editing software to edit the file, which is so much nicer than the radio where it goes out live, boof, gone, that's it, warts and all. And I then I add some music at the beginning and the end, make it a bit pretty in that respect. And I then have a lovely sound file on my system. So how does it get to your phone? And the way that happens is that there are a range of people called distributors, and I use one called Buzzsprout, and they do a good job for me. And in simple terms, I send the audio file to them. I also send them the words that go with it. So my guest today is Louisa Fleet. Here's a link to her website, all that kind of stuff. They then send it to Apple, to Spotify, to Google Podcasts, to I think 15 different podcast apps. They just do all of that in return for a little bit of money from me. And what they also do is they collect statistics from all of those people. So with the show that you recorded with me, I can tell you how many people listened. I can tell you what countries they were in. I can tell you what devices they used. All sorts of stats are available to me through that distributor. Very easy to do.
So what could go wrong then when you're setting up a podcast?
We haven't got time to cover that.
In terms of actually setting up
wrong.
the, you know, because I'm sure there's lots of
Okay.
things in the interviews, but in terms of actually getting it set up to start with, what is there any tips that you'd say from your learnings?
The key word is niche. Decide what it is that you want to do. Who are you appealing to? And then what content is it that will appeal to those people? So my target market in my business is solopreneurs, people running businesses with 1 to 5 employees, that micro scale. So do they want to hear some marketing guru talking about how to spend your $50 million marketing budget? No, there's just no relevance to them. What they want to hear about is how people are having a tough time in their business and how they dealt with that. They want to hear about how to do marketing with no budget. So I'm not really aiming for those big super duper guests, although I've got one I'm teetering on, which would be lovely, but I won't name names yet. But I'm aiming for people like you who can just tell it how it is, who they can really relate to.
So a lot of my connections and audiences are, you know, people in sales, you know, some very large national companies, individual salespeople, managing directors and CEOs of big companies, and also of smaller companies. Who do you think there could, you know, might benefit from setting up their own podcast?
Well, do you know what? Most of them.
Yeah.
Okay. And I'll tell you why I say that. If you can tell me any of them that aren't doing marketing, then I will tell you they're a fool, because clearly you've got to do marketing. Doing a podcast is marketing.
Marketing.
That's all it is. And you know what? You can do an 1.5-hour show. You can do a 10-minute show. You can do a 3-minute show. You can do what you like. It can be aimed at your staff. It can be aimed at your suppliers. It can be aimed at your prospects. It can be aimed at your existing customers. Not all of those things. Niche it. You know, this is a podcast series for staff, and you could do a completely different podcast series for prospects.
Fantastic.
And for customers. It's about, again, it's about the objective.
Yeah.
What are you trying to achieve with it? In the same way as I would ask the same question with a Facebook campaign or with a LinkedIn article you were going to write, what are you trying to achieve? And then you tailor it so it achieves that. So if you're trying to achieve more customers, okay, who are your prospects? What do they want to listen to? If you're if you're an insurance company, they don't really want to hear buy from me, we're the best insurance company. They're just not going to download that podcast. If there's a podcast that says there's a whole new business interruption insurance that's come in, a business interruption insurance genre because of COVID, which might not be covered, and da-di-da-di-da. So if you want to learn, we're not going to sell you a policy. We're not going to talk about the Pru or whoever else. We're going to talk about this world of insurance.
Talk about the actual challenges that are going on so that people can learn from it. Yeah,
absolutely.
fantastic.
So you can, if you provide information of value to the listeners, they will listen. And what are they hearing all the way through it? Your brand, your brand, your brand, your brand.